Good afternoon. Today we are going to have the discussion on the strategic performance management. Already we are well aware that how the employee performance is managed in the organization. There are multiple methods that are often followed to understand the performance output, the quality of the work, the quantity of the work, and based on all, the performance of an employee is measured. Now, there are multiple methods, as just now I have told you. Now, question is that, do we consider or should we consider all methods to be the strategic one? Or there should be certain methods only that to be considered as the strategic performance management elements? For a simple example, the performance has got a pay linkage for employees, especially in manufacturing sector, or it can be applicable in service sector as well. For the baseline workers, we know that there is a concept that a remuneration component is there, which is purely performance linked, and that is referred or that is known as the incentives. Now the question is that incentives can be designed in many ways. You must have studied there are multiple methods of designing my organization's incentive schemes. Few are on time rate system, few are based on the piece rate system, few are the combinations of all, few are actually varying in the different levels of the performances. So this way the incentives are designed. Now the question is that amongst all, which one is going to be strategic? Take a very simple example. The time rate system, the conventional way of giving the incentive. Time rate system. If the work hour is for 8 hours, and if a factory worker, a production worker is working more than 8 hours, so the total time limit for him to stay in the factory is exceeding. And as we know that according to the Factories Act in India, no one can work beyond 9 hours in a single shift. So if a person is working more than 9 hours, that person must be paid with some time rate incentive, and that is often referred as the overtime. Now the question is that whether at the present context of the cutthroat competition in the business area and environment, do you think that paying someone overtime, that's a time rate system, is truly a strategic one from organization's point of view? Here comes a big question, that which one is strategic, which one is not strategic. In this series of lectures, we shall talk about the various strategic components of the performance management. But before that, in today's lecture component, let me discuss about the very basics of the strategic performance management, and gradually we will proceed to the descriptive areas where we can illustrate and elaborate the various strategic performance management methods. So here we have a presentation on strategic performance management. Today we are actually going to cover the areas that relates to the strategic performance management, not the procedure today itself, but the allied areas, the benefits, the process, all these things will be discussed about in this lecture. Now, what's the concept of strategic performance management? You can say on screen, it is written as the strategic performance management helps you to apply the strategy throughout your organization to ensure that all your goals are being met. So it is basically the objective for all strategic business management components. It is equally applicable for the strategic performance management as well. You have to outplay your nearest competitor, and you have to have some strategy drawn, designed. So performance management is also one of them. If your employee is not happy with the type of performance management system you have, you may not be able to retain your competent employees in the organization. That has truly been a challenge in the modern course of organizational operations. So, this being the concept, let's move to the next slide, where actually we are stating about the benefits of the strategic performance management. Employees will be motivated. If the strategic performance management is properly done, then definitely the employees will be motivated, because there is a background theory. We all know it's a very famous theory of Herzberg's two-factor theory. If you have achieved something, if you have really performed well, the employee will actually look for the recognition of that achievement or the performance. That same applies to the theory of Victor Rome, when he has told that there are three components. One is the performance that will be basically that will come actually that will originate from the output. So there are three components basically. If you are putting the effort, then you will have a performance. If you have a right performance, that will be the outcome, and the outcome ultimately will lead you to the reward. So that is the Victor Rome's theory, and this is basically the reflection of those two theories. The employees will be more motivated. Management will improve exponentially if you are able to retain your skilled employee in an organization. If you have a less attrition rate in your organization, employee attrition rate, so definitely the organization will be benefited. Better communication will be fostered. When you are actually strengthening your performance management system, means you have to have the communication at the different levels, and that will ensure that the company is having a very a culture of clear communication inside the organization. Next, the culture of excellence will be created. It's quite understandable that if I am performing well, and if my performance is evaluated, and if I am motivated, if I am rewarded for my performance, if I am just encouraged to do better, definitely in the next cycle my performance will be even better. So that is the culture of excellence will be prevailing in the organization. And culture of excellence doesn't mean that it will only be the reward. It will actually establish a culture where the employee will try to excel in all spheres of its work areas. So these are the different benefits of the strategic performance management. Now, in the next slide, we'll see that what can be the performance management strategies. First of all, we have to define the communicate the company goals and performance objectives. Okay, these are not the strategic performance management methods. These are rather the strategies that can be used or adopted to have a proper performance management system in the organization. First of all, the company's goal and performance objectives for an organization have to be clearly communicated to the employees. All should know that what are the performance guidelines. All should know that what should I deliver, what is the expectation from me. So all these things will be there. The performance management softwares can be used. The different performance management feedbacks can be offered. Employees should be allowed to provide the feedback if needed. Some cases they can provide you the suggestions as well. There is a scheme, very popular scheme known as the suggestions scheme. Actually had an origin in Japan, which is famous for its quality management system. So suggestion scheme actually encourages the employees to give a suggestion to the management as well. So the same way, there are multiple methods of having the feedback. So whatever be the feedback you are actually adopting for the organization, but you should have some proper performance feedback. Uh, Obviously, this feedback will come to the employees, but the employee should have the chance to communicate to the employer as well. Just now we were talking about the clear communication inside the organization. This is basically the example of clear communication. Communication should be bilateral, if needed multilateral. It will have a vertical flow, horizontal flow, whatever be the nature of the flow, but it should be a very clear communication and encompassing the entire all channels, all communication channels in the organization. The peer reviews are also important. Feedback doesn't mean that the feedback will come from the higher authority or it will come from the lower level. The peer reviews are also important. Nowadays, it's a very popular concept of 360 review. Preemptive management and recognition. Recognition is very, very important for an employee, and set regular meetings to discuss the outcomes and the results. There should be the review meetings, there should be the discussions, how this could be achieved if someone or a department has achieved something. So how it was possible for the department to achieve all, and if someone has been unable to achieve them, what are the constraints for them to achieve all this. So these are the different performance management strategies that we have to consider. This may sound a bit generic in nature because that can be applied more or less for all kinds of HR functions, but yes, whenever we will be specific to the different performance management system components, I believe we will be able to correlate all these strategies to all those different components. Okay, so that's all for today, because the next part of lecture on strategic performance management will include the different a brief overview. Already these things are known to you, but still we will have a brief recapitulation of all the performance management processes that an organization usually practices. And in addition to that, we'll have a discussion. We'll try to throw the lights on that which one of these performance management components uh, are the strategic performance management components, and uh, how they are contributing to the competitive advantage for an organization. So for that, for that period of time, uh, thank you till this point of time. Thank you very much. Stay indoor and stay safe.